Cults, polygamy, and wild delusions. Her story seems to have it all. The only thing it's missing is a compelling reason why this 24-year-old mother murdered her baby girl. She was sure she was pouring evil into her baby when she breastfed her, but the jury didn't buy her insanity defense. Now, Chloe Driver is looking at life in prison while her cult leader husband walks away scot-free. So, what exactly happened? Let's recap. Chloe Driver wants her husband all to herself, so she stabs her 13-month-old daughter, Hannah Nicole, to death, then slits her own throat. Seems insane, right? Well, just wait. There's more. Her husband, Benjamin Ben Michael, is a 38-year-old religious nomad who preaches polygamy and alternative medicine. Psychologists describe him as charming, intelligent, and engaging. And what does that mean? His followers think he's charming enough to follow his orders to drink their own pee for its healing properties. But is he charming enough to make Chloe kill their baby? We'll let you decide. Chloe Driver was 17 when she met Benjamin, aka Brian Joyce, or simply Z. Before then, Chloe was a troubled teen from Georgia. According to her psychologist, Chloe had an unstable childhood. Her family was cold, and she left them multiple times as a teenager. Each time she ran away, Chloe would stay with different neighborhood boys. She even left the state to stay with an older man. She had thoughts of suicide and would engage in self-harm. She cut herself and one time tried to overdose on sleeping pills. Her doctor diagnosed her with schizoaffective disorder and borderline personality disorder. Both were linked to her traumatic childhood and history of rocky relationships. Substance abuse made her mental health issues worse. She smoked marijuana and refused to take her prescribed antidepressants. This led to paranoia, delusion, and frequent manic episodes. Things got even worse when Chloe met Brian Joyce. He was twice her age and used it to manipulate Chloe. She was isolated from the world. She couldn't speak to outsiders unless she was recruiting them to join B Cult. She couldn't spend money or use the phone unsupervised. Her longest job lasted about 2 weeks, and that's only because Brian needed cash. By 2020, Benjamin was the leader of a polygamist religious group. Many sources called him a cult, though it's unclear how many members they had. It's also unclear if Ben had an official name for his group, though there appears to be a connection to the 12 Tribes community, which we'll touch on later. From what we can gather, the members included Ben, his wives, his friend Jason Spillers, and Chloe. Fellow members knew her by her Hebrew name, Kuani Alexis Driver. The group moved around a lot, bouncing between Asheville, North Carolina, Maine, Georgia, and parts of Florida. They practiced strict veganism and, as we mentioned, drank their own pee. To cleanse their bodies of sin, the group would allegedly practice dark therapy, which involved strapping themselves to a bed, blacking out the windows, and meditating for hours on end. Need the bathroom? Too bad. Pee yourself. It's good for you. Ben believed in traditional gender roles regarding his family. To him and Jason Spillers, the patriarchal mindset wasn't based on scripture. It was common sense. Men are better leaders, Jason said while testifying at Chloe's trial. They are better decision makers. They can regulate their emotions in a way that women cannot. Ben Michael insisted that Chloe and the other wives always had free will to leave, but we all know that's not true. It's a classic manipulation used by many cult leaders. But Chloe didn't want to leave. She was bought in until her daughter Hannah Driver was born in 2019. Hannah's birth opened Chloe's eyes to some of Ben Michael's more questionable teachings. He didn't believe in vaccinations and forbade Hannah from getting a birth certificate. According to her psychologist, Chloe wanted Hannah to have a normal life. She knew she wouldn't get one if she stayed with Ben Michael. Her mother, Renee, seems to disagree. Renee claims she and other family members tried everything possible to get Chloe to come home, but nothing could sway her. After Hannah was born, Renee and Chloe had minimal contact. When they did speak, Renee reiterated that Chloe and Hannah were welcome to stay with her on one condition. Ben Michael was not allowed. Renee didn't want anything to do with him. In the summer of 2020, Renee noticed changes in Hannah's appearance and behavior. She described her daughter as being in a zombie-like state and not herself, She was falling apart, Renee said. Meanwhile, baby Hannah maintained her childlike innocence. Chloe allegedly went to Ben Michael's other wives for help. They recommended CBD oil to calm Chloe's nerves. The oil, according to her doctor, only intensified her paranoia and delusions. Chloe came to believe that she was downloading her sin into Hannah through breastfeeding. Hannah's existence was sinful in nature as she was born into an open relationship. Now, this idea of downloading came up again in September 2020 at Hannah's first birthday party. Chloe allegedly entered a catatonic state, claiming that photographs could download a person back to that moment in their past. Around this time, somebody shot her older brother. It's unclear who, but Chloe came to blame herself. One could argue that she saw some kind of light at the end of the tunnel. She tried leaving Ben Michael and the group several times, even flagging down a driver on one occasion. She'd sneak away to call her mother, but Ben Michael would coerce her back each time. If she left, she'd never get to see little Hannah again. The straw that broke the camel's back, according to her doctor, was an incident that occurred shortly before Hannah's murder. Chloe asked Ben Michael for something clean to change the baby. He in turn threw a dirty shirt at her. It seems trivial, but years of abuse and declining mental health blew it out of proportion. Chloe claims she snapped. Killing baby Hannah was the only logical option. It was December 8th, 2020. According to Jason Spiller, the group was preparing to leave Ben Michael's home in Canton, Georgia, when they heard their leader emit a blood-curdling cry. Jason rushed inside and ran upstairs where he found Ben's bedroom covered in blood. Chloe was on the bed. Her throat was cut, and it appeared as though she'd been stabbed several times. Meanwhile, Ben was giving little Hannah mouth to mouth. The baby was in rough shape. She was soaked in blood from head to toe. With each tiny chest compression, Hannah emitted this horrible gurgling sound. Jason still can't get it out of his head. He focused on Chloe and applied pressure to stop the bleeding. He claims she whispered in his ear, "Stop. I'm supposed to die." At the hospital, surgeons tried desperately to revive Hannah. The mood was grim, according to one doctor. Hannah was empty of blood. Saving her was impossible. She died in the hospital at only 13 months old. An autopsy showed that Hannah had been stabbed multiple times. One of those wounds penetrated the baby's spine. If she somehow survived, she may have been severely disabled for the rest of her life. The wound on Chloe's neck left her unable to speak to police during questioning. Instead, she wrote everything on a piece of paper. At one point, she incriminated herself, writing, "He didn't do it, I did it." She talked about going insane and not wanting to live with Ben Michael's friends. She only wanted her baby and husband, but he refused. She asked, "How long will my prison sentence be for killing her?" On another note, she wrote, "I'm sorry I killed her. I should have stayed." During questioning, Chloe asked to see Ben Michael several times. However, COVID-19 restrictions prevented him from entering the room. The police wanted to hear and see them converse, so they allowed Chloe to call Ben Michael on the detective's phone. They'd ask questions, Chloe would write her responses, and the police would read it to Ben. During their talk, Chloe alluded to Ben's group performing black magic on Hannah. Ben, of course, denied that any such magic was happening. She claimed Ben blamed her for being the cause of all his alleged problems. She said she wanted to run away, but Ben wouldn't let her go. He denied these accusations, claiming that Chloe was always free to leave. Data from Chloe's cell phone also revealed several disturbing Google searches. She looked up killing someone to save them, how to snap a neck, and killing because the world was fake. She also dove into mental health remedies, religious forgiveness, and the 12 Tribes religious community. The 12 Tribes is a cult that began in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It eventually moved north to Vermont, where it has operated ever since. Their beliefs are rooted in Christian fundamentalism, meaning whatever's written in the Bible is to be taken literally. They've been accused of child labor and sex abuse, homophobia, racism, and anti-Semitism. It seems like Chloe may have thought joining them would rescue her from Ben Michael's grip. Some don't think Chloe was ever trying to leave Ben Michael. While in prison, she was caught using an unmonitored line to speak with her husband. The jail blocked Ben Michael's number so Chloe would use other inmates' PINs to bypass the block. According to phone records, Chloe made 617 jailhouse calls to Ben Michael between February 2021 and May 2023. Her trial began on November 12, 2024. The prosecution painted her as a jealous mother who wanted her husband's undivided attention. Her defense team pleaded insanity, claiming that Chloe was in a state of intense delusion when she killed Hannah. Her jury listened to 21 witnesses, including Chloe's doctor and her mother. They listened to Jason Spillers testify about Ben's cult. He did so while wearing an orange jumpsuit, as he is currently incarcerated for assaulting a woman to which he took an Alford plea. The jury viewed graphic crime scene photos showing Hannah's stab wounds and a bedroom drenched in blood. At one point, they listened to a jailhouse phone call between Chloe and her mom. During the call, Chloe discussed getting a COVID-era PPE loan and transferring the money to Ben Michael. In the end, they found Hannah guilty of malice murder and first-degree cruelty to children. They agreed that Chloe was mentally ill but didn't buy the insanity plea. As for Ben Michael, the police have no reason to believe that he killed Hannah or attacked Chloe. Based on the evidence, Chloe grabbed a knife from the butcher's block, locked herself in the bedroom, and stabbed her infant daughter to death. Ben Michael may have manipulated her, abused her, and belittled her, but it was her hand that plunged the blade. Do you think her husband should have faced charges also? Let's talk about this case in the comments, and if you like getting all the crime in half the time, I'm Chris. Amy and I are here with new recaps 3 times a week, and we'd love for you to join us. Remember to give this a like and subscribe so you never miss a story. Until next time, take care.